first major attack was when I was doing standard 7. I remember that day my mom had gone to buy her first car. She gets a call that I'm in the hospital. I passed out at school. That's how they started.
Headaches are something that we take for granted. How would you get like, and nobody even asks you twice about that headache that you said you're having earlier because we expect it to just go away.
Yeah.
But in certain instances like yours, it doesn't go away.
With me, so it would feel like someone is hammering the back of your head. Pain it would be so intense that it's debilitating. At that moment, you cannot move.
Now, June is Headache and Migraine Awareness Month. And following this year's commemoration, Anitah decided to share her struggle with debilitating headaches since age 7, a condition that has completely disrupted her life, affecting her relationships, career, and general livelihood. Let's take a peek into her world on this week's episode of GaonaLive Conversations. Here is her story. Anitah, thank you very much for, taking time out to have this conversation on migraines. I think, what I'm so happy about is I think headaches are something that we take for granted. From as far back as I can remember. How would you get like, and nobody even asks you, twice about that headache that you said you're having earlier because we expect it to just go away.
Yeah.
But in certain instances like yours, it doesn't go away.
No.
So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Thank you for doing this. I always say telling our stories is an act of service to humanity. Yeah. So thank you for doing this. So let's just start with perhaps give me a little background, take me back to, as far back as you can remember, and perhaps also take me to your very first headache that you remember, if that's even a thing, right?
Yeah.
My nieces are 6 and I have a headache.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do they even know what a headache is? But so I really want you to take me back to as far back as you can remember.
Yeah. My journey at the headache started when I was 7. I'd always tell my mom, so growing up back then, giddy nerves. There was a thing back then, the giddy nerves. Yeah. So she would take me to the optometrist, optician. Started wearing specs when I was 7. Around with we do have 4 eyes to go school. And they didn't get better. My mom would take me to doctors, but paracetamol. It went on and on like that. My first major attack was when I was doing standard 7. Mm-hmm. I remember that day my mom had gone to buy her first car. And she gets a call that I'm in the hospital. I passed out at school. That's how they started. And I would be given anything, paracetamol, brufen, whatever, that the doctor had prescribed. When I was in junior, what you call auras. So those are like symptoms that you would get that sort of warn you or you're about to have an attack. Mm-hmm. I get it. So reshifter from just your daily headaches. We're talking about migraine attacks. Yeah. So there would be vomiting, there would be blurry vision, there would be mobile and little stars.
Okay. I think I would like to slow you down a little bit because I really want us to get us into your world, right? So take me through, I don't know whether I can even say a step by step, what a migraine feels like. Because for somebody who doesn't get it, I'm just thinking, sometimes it's pounding, so I think I just need to understand what that actually feels like. Does it just hit you like that, like a ton of bricks? Gradually, so I think I want you to get us into that.
Yeah, so when I started having the attack, that eventually the doctors did diagnose neurologists as migraines. normally a gradual build-up. So I'd have your and then there'd be the auras, or symptoms that you get, and then you get the headache, the attack. With me, hi simolla in elemoskuting. So it would feel like someone is hammering the back of your head. With force. And when that happens, my body would be stiff. So pain at it would be so intense that it's debilitating. At that moment, you cannot move. And I'd have to be hospitalized for a few days at the hospital. And then and the funny thing is, I could never master it. It changed our presentation all the time. So we went from there's a migraine coming, to a point where I'll just pass out. I'll be talking to Helen, and then suddenly I get this intense pain, and then I'd pass out, wake up in the hospital. So it would move from goskoteng to one side of the head. And that's how actually my family would notice because you'd get one side of my face swollen, pain. So even if I tried to act normal, they would see her like a face. It's almost like an allergic reaction. Literally, and it would shut down. So it got worse by the years. By the time senior, when I was doing Form 5, I had what we call migraine stroke. So shapa side lost my speech, could not walk, could not do anything.
And how long do these bouts last? You know what I mean? Are we talking about something that happens over a couple of hours? Are we talking about days on end?
You know what? With me, it goes on for weeks and months. So I live with pain. I have headaches daily. There's no day that I don't have a headache. And I scale. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most severe, where's my daily headache? So my daily headaches are at 6. And then I start to get worried when they hit 8. So I don't even tell people I have a headache anymore, because that's going to be stories But when I do tell someone what I have a headache, that day it's probably 8 or more. Sometimes it will pain scale. I've been in depressive episodes. I have strained my relationship with my family and my mother at some point. You know how a parent is. How there's doctors mamang kana go pitori ga tu itse di headache there's mamang go mafikeng o itse tlhogo mas mamang ngwana ga go kila thuso go and there was a time where I was like, you know what, just leave me alone.
I'm tired.
I'm tired. And people don't understand that you get to a point where you're just tired. And I think, now that I think about it, the depression that I had was because every time I went to a new place or to a new doctor, to a headache clinic, I went there with renewed hope that this one might actually help me. And I get there, we order the CT, the MRI, and then his story is 20 other neurologists or doctors before him. And then it crushes me all over again. There's no pain medication I don't know. There's no pain medication I have not been on. There's no pain medication, or I wouldn't tell you, or when you're on that, the side effects are this. Right now, there's another one that I'm on that I take at night that dries up my mouth. So so I constantly have to sip water. And there were times where I'd be put on these medications that are really strong. And the funny thing is, when you read the leaflets, it will say side effects, headache. Alright. And then you get more sick. You don't know if it's because the side effect or it's actually your headache getting worse. And then I'd get to I remember one time Kile Kuspatela, Kilo Hobana neurologist. And then she says, tell me about your headaches. And then I went on like I am with you right now. And she's like, you actually know more about headaches than I do. And this is a neurologist. She's supposed to be the headache specialist.
Absolutely.
I was crushed. Okay, so what works for you? I'm like, I don't know. I'm here because nothing works. And then she'd start to write prescription. I'd be like, no, I've been on that for this long. It's and the combination with these things, and it doesn't work. And then we tried patches. And then 2 years ago, went to the doctor, and I was like, you know what? From the support group, I've heard Barry steroid injections actually do help. How about we try? And mind you, they are very expensive. While one it's like 1.8. And what they do is that injection, while we inject that in all the areas where the pain is. I remember the last one.
And does it happen when you're actually having an episode?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the worst thing about those is even though they do work, they help. It gets worse before it gets better.
Sure.
So 3 days after those, you will feel like your skull is being crushed before it gets better. So that's another thing as well. It changed our presentation. I remember 2019, it came with seizures. I had an attack and I was having seizures. I was like, okay, what's that? And then went to the hospital. Guess what? They did the MRI. They couldn't find anything. So I have like a box in the CT scan, the MRI. And I remember the first time I had that headache in the seizures, I was alone with my daughter. And at the time, she was about 2.5, if I'm not mistaken. Just the two of us. It happened. I don't know how many times I had the seizure before my uncle came. When my mom had gone to a function, and as I was having seizures and my daughter with my 2.5-year-old daughter there, my uncle was knocking go main gate and and I could not open for him. So he calls my mom, I'm trying to call, but nobody's answering. I was like, no, but for some reason, my daughter was a key. It was God.
Yeah.
And as Abula, my uncle comes in, I'm having a seizure. So that was Niki Blelezor, you know what? I want to keep my daughter away from this and all of that. After that attack, I was like, no, my child, I'm going to teach you how to open the door, how to unlock the door, lock it. And I am going to show you where mommy keeps her medications. She's 10. And she'll be like, Mama, can I bring the medications? Do you need your night pills? It breaks my heart all the time, but that's her mom's world. And it's made me so anxious for her because Mama, my head hurts. And I'm thinking, are they starting? Because they started me when I was slightly younger than her at 7. So Mama, my head hurts. Wait, 240. I will look for anything, and then I will watch her like a hawk, how she behaves and all of that. How is the pain now? No, Mama, it's gone. I'm like, thank God.
Right.
And the headaches when I was expecting her, Kana when you're expecting a girl, you can only take so much medication. Bontsi ba di painkillers tse di strong, you're not allowed to take through pregnancy. Yes, so I had to soldier through that pregnancy. It was the most difficult thing in my life. I remember when I was about 4 months, my then OBGYN said to me, we're going to have to do medical termination. Because the state that you're in right now, you're not going to survive this. And my responsibility is to you, not the unborn baby. So I was like, you know what? Thank you, but I will not be needing your services anymore. I was with my mother. I went to the next door OBGYN and I said, I have just fired my other OBGYN. I need a new one. And I told him my story and he was like, you know what? Let's take it day by day, week by week. Higher. And as the pregnancy, the headaches intensify. I remember there was about a month or so where I was not able to sleep at night. I remember one night around 2 a.m., 3 a.m., I called my aunt and I told him, at the time, Auntie, I am in pain. And the only thing that I'm praying for is that with this child because I cannot do this anymore. It was bad. It was bad. I was like, you know what, Mudimu, thank you, but I don't think I want to live this life anymore. My aunt said to me, you know what, let me call you. I was even afraid of sleeping because I felt hanka like it's also in my sleep. My doctor said to me, you know what, how will we get? They just call me. I would call him and say, it's hard, I can't. And he said, you know what, Hela Harishapa 36 weeks, that baby is coming out. So at 5 months, I knew my daughter was going to be born on the 28th of March because that was the day Yekiwits and 36. And he said to me, how libile 30 weeks, we'll do what we can, medication, and everything is fine so that we avoid you staying. Paranoia, but he was understanding. That man was a godsend. 36 weeks. My daughter came out and he immediately put me on treatment because by that stage, it was unbearable. And if you ask me, I hated my pregnancy. I hated it. It was the hardest thing. It was just too much.
Has it affected, you wanting more kids?
Yes. I'm not gonna.
You're not going to put yourself through that again?
No.
Can I ask you this? Because I think naturally somebody who's listening, who's not familiar with the migraine, and I like the fact that you already brought it. One thing I enjoy about, talking to people who are sharing their lived experiences is, you know so much more about your condition, honestly, than even doctors do. My, doctor has said to me as well with my endometriosis, you actually know more than I do. I read
and
on
you're
this
actually
thing
on top of the research. Because you're always looking. Maybe somebody out there has found a cure for this thing.
Right?
Yeah.
But what causes these migraines? Another thing that you brought up is worrying that ngwana gago ka nna le tsone. Is it hereditary? How are there people who are more predisposed to having them than, others?
Yeah.
Because clearly these are questions you've asked.
Yeah.
This is research you've done. Yeah. So how does one end up living, this kind of life? How about
because research it can be hereditary. That was why I'm always scared when my daughter says, and then how about a textbook would tell you the triggers. I have tried everything. I have tried acupuncture, chiropractor, diet, where I was literally Wa bona go sna nama, go sna sepe, no dairy products, nothing, no chocolate, no caffeine, nothing. Wa bona re batla go bona gore mme gona was it related to the food that was taken. Wa bona exercises, herbal remedies. Wa bona le ga Setswana wa bona mo tla bong o tlalwa di herbs nyana go kopantse go tetsa ono. I have tried it. Sniff this, I have tried it. Wa bona but unfortunately there was no triggers for me. How there was a point where it will just come out of nowhere. Just like a pounding pain and everything just goes black. The sad thing is it's also been a very expensive journey.
Clearly, I was going to take it there as well.
How the headache clinic go Joburg or Pretoria kana go Cape Town go, it's a lot of money. The logistics is that thing. How ba order 50 tests and all of that is money. And then how go prescribe medication way long 28 pills sa kgwedi hela dilinosi, it's 4,500. So how Namaspadela, every second week you are admitted in the hospital, you are admitted in ICU. ICU is expensive. That's it. Ling uno Spadela 2 months ago, the hospital will call you but bill yele go ICU yele 40,000 medical aid and the frustrating thing is with these headaches, my doctor has tried to plead with the medical aids. This is a chronic ailment. It's really debilitating to my client. Is there no way that medical aid they were like, no. And like you're saying, I think headache. But headache, these migraines. For them, they're lucky enough to have triggers, and if they stay away from those, they're sorted. With me, unfortunately, there isn't. Like I've said, I have tried to study them, and the sad thing is, every time I'm thinking, like I said, they change presentation.
Of course.
And then they come. So they've also become very scary to my loved ones. Where my daughter now going, she's like, Mama, you're going to be okay. She's witnessed me having seizures. She's witnessed me kicking where my mom had to call in my doctor to say, hey, so it's been a very unpleasant journey for her. And sometimes I also ask myself, my character now, my personality, has it also been influenced by my struggle with headaches? Because I've been called antisocial. I'm a bubbly person, but I'm always thinking in my head, is there going to be a lot of noise? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to go. I'm not feeling well. And most of the time, even when I genuinely don't feel well, people are like, when are you and your antisocial tendencies?
Of course.
And I'm at a point where I get chaser. All I would just want to do is just to go lie my head on a pillow and close my eyes. And the way it's affected my life is that in a new environment. I'm always looking for things they might actually be triggers.
Already
the
lights,
my eyes. My office room it's got black blinds. Such that it's unbearable. I can just pull the blinds and it's dark. My room in dark, so that because even light can feel like razors to your eyes. There are times when even the slightest noise can be excruciating. And there are times when I really do want to be spoken to. I think sometimes my mom feels in a little mood or something, because there's just times when I'm like, shh, everybody just
Yeah.
Can it just be quiet?
Mm.
Waban.
You know, as you go, and you've already started on it, I wanted to ask you, because it's clear, like how clear, you know, this has completely disrupted your life. You know, there is no way you can live with such a condition and not have your life disrupted. And you can tell it's every single aspect of your life. So I wanted us to go there. Earlier, another thing that you mentioned is it has actually soured your relations with your family at some point. So I want you to unpack that a bit more for me. And every area, if you're comfortable, right? Because here we are, you know, you already have a daughter who's constantly anxious for mommy because she's
in the
witnessed you.
worst. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? She's literally living her life witnessing you in torture. Yeah, you know, the headache. So how has it affected your life? One thing that I know about Baba the condition that cause debilitating pain, you'll be called all sorts of things. You are an attention seeker. But what's what I get and how I get do you get it? So I can imagine that's been your life. So please just unpack that for us.
Because you also get to a point where you genuinely feel like
of course, absolutely.
Or, like you're saying, you're an attention seeker. So I choose not to tell people most of the time I'm not feeling well. Those who know me will see I'm not feeling well. But another thing that is really stressful is the anxiety. Because I'd have an attack now and I'm like, yo, this is the grandmother of all attacks, of all headaches. And then the next one comes and I'm like, no, that one was this is it. It cannot get worse than this. So because of that, when is it going to come? And when it comes, and what is it going to stop? I'm self-employed. That means that I cannot afford to take time out. So my loved ones, you don't take care of yourself. I've been told, you know what, you're going to die, and tomorrow advertise the post there. You're going to die, and someone who's already replaced you got the wrong. And I try to tell them, you know what, and I'm home. That's all I'm feeling. That's all I'm thinking. Sometimes when I got the wrong, it's to distract me from the pain. Because I feel like if I'm busy with something, then I pay less attention to it. So I mean, people don't really say that to my face. But that's exactly what I think.
Absolutely.
And where you feel like nobody really gets this. You guys just don't understand.
Absolutely.
Like, I understand that you understand it's with this thing, but do you know how bad it can get?
Absolutely.
And even with relationships, I'm lucky that I have a partner who's really understanding. I remember when the relationship was still new, I used to do outreaches in Francistown, and he had gone to pick me up at the airport. Just then, as I was walking out, I just got this and I passed out. He had to call the ambulance and all of that. And mind you, this is when it's really new. So that was his initiation into my headaches. But he's so sweet, so understanding that sometimes when he calls and I don't answer, 2 days later, I'm like, you know what, how phone? And I was just not myself. And when I say, you know what, I'm really tired. Because you're always tired. The pain will take everything out of you. And then you take all these medications. The side effects, in trying to treat the headaches, you are introducing new problems to your system. My kidneys have been damaged. And there was a time when I had to go see a nephrologist because things were just not okay. And he said, what are you taking? Or my medication. I was like, yeah, that's why. I was like, okay, do I want to lose kidneys? No, maybe because the headaches, I know they're always going to be there. Let me prevent this one. It's hard.
It is.
It's hard.
I can only imagine. Now, where management is concerned, because here you are talking about
any kind of pain medication that you don't know, because you've done it all, you've used it all. Is there anything now to the next? Migraines di-managiwa ka? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, is there, as far as, standard medications that are known perhaps globally, and effective? Because this really sounds like a horror story. Because I'm sitting here thinking, wow, I can't imagine how we've taken people like you for granted. People around us. My sister is constantly complaining about headaches, but because you just don't understand the magnitude of what it is that they're talking about. So let's talk about management and whether there's something that actually works and what the global standards are.
You know what? There are medications, so I think these are for migraines. Like I've said, I have tried them. When you research, but unfortunately, like it's in Australia or New Zealand, and how are you going to get those? And you get the pain meds that are highly regulated, like morphine. Morphine is under care. I remember about 6 years ago, I had a very intense migraine, and I was at the hospital, giving you the strongest, and then my doctor said, you know what, morphine, but here's a tablet, break it down like this. And I was like, what? Are we there already? And fortunately for me, because the side effects were so bad, some morphine, I didn't. And I was like, no, I'd rather just stand the headache than all of that. But there are medications. It's just that for me, they don't work. Totally on the label migraine. Migraine because we don't know what else to call it. Textbook symptoms, I don't get those anymore. Mine is a completely different thing. So nothing responds. And I think for my peace of mind and also to avoid getting into a depressive episode, I said to myself, you know what? How about maybe you stop looking for answers for what causes them and all of that, because you've been doing this for the past 33 years. How about now you find the best way to live with these? Because people are living with chronic ailments out there, diabetes, hypertension. This is mine. And I said to myself, you know what? How can I live my best life with this? And since I adopted that mentality, I think I've been more at peace. Because I'm not constantly chasing everything. I'm like, you know what? Live your best life with this.
Absolutely. So this is something I'm wondering, because I know naturally, generally, as Botswana, perhaps also because we're a Christian nation, we're spiritual beings, right? There isn't anything haven't tried. What are some of the I don't even want to call them misconceptions, but things that people have said, have suggested could work, to you, that perhaps sometimes have really just annoyed you because you're sitting here thinking, do you know where I've been? Do you know how much I've spent trying to manage it? Because sometimes it's like, ow, kana mme ha o ka bono le baruti go na le moruti kae kae wena gore kana o ka bono o ile go tlhola moruti kae kae kana mme go na le prophet mamang, mathata ga o rapele. Do you get it? It's a spiritual attack. Do you get it? So perhaps, have you had that kind of get us into that?
I have. I have. Like, I've tried everything. I mean, everything. Mo tlabong o bolalwa gore gona le mo profiti kae o itse dio tse ya go tlhatlhoba utlwa gore a reng ha o tsena go a go tlhapisa go have things to drink. And you know what? I will entertain all of these things because ke a bona gore batho ba nkisang go, it's out of love. Where it's a spiritual calling. Gona le dio dingwe tse ke sa di direng tse le gore I'm supposed to be doing, then the headaches will go away. Ke a di dira I still don't know. They don't go away. But one thing that I have decided, I was like Nikki Guahore, I've stopped looking for answers. I've said, God, you know what? You gave me this. I don't know why. Spiritually, also my journey has been full of ups and downs. I'll be honest with you. There were times when I hated God. When I said, you know what, if Malhatin to come and suffer like this, because this is absolutely, it doesn't work for me. During the pregnancy, I would stay up at night. I don't even know why I bother. There was an incident as well when I was in varsity with Cape Town where they were so bad. And I remember dipilisi tsotlhe tse ne ke na le tsone mo vaniting, and I had put them on a saucer. Because I was like, you know what, I cannot live like this anymore. And just as I was taking them, my hand started to tremble. And as it was trembling, that saucer tipped over, and then they just scattered. And I did not have the strength to pick them one by one. The following day, I went to my professor and I said, I'm not okay. I almost did something yesterday. I am not okay. And they were like, you know what, just go home. I took a whole semester off to come home, deal with that depression and all of those thoughts. And my mom, African parents, depression, and then people have, the
theory.
kana bana ga ba utlwe be rile tsana kwa ba heta jola le mo South Africa rata o mo robi pelo goreng wa bana. And you know what, I sat my mom down and said, this is what is happening. How much she understood, I don't know. But a parent is a parent. Support as much as they possibly can. But one thing that when I made amends, I said, you know what, God, I'm sorry for all the things I have said to you. Make me a better person out of this. Because you gave me this, can you use me as a tool to help another person? Wow, and I'm like, I don't believe that I can go through 33 years of this and nothing comes of it. Wow, and I was like, no, that cannot happen. Wow,
Absolutely.
that's why I was very excited when you afforded me this opportunity. I was like, you know what, let me go share my story. See Ori out there, even if it's just 2-3 people that I'll touch with my story, then that will be worth it. Wow, because I refuse to believe that for over 3 decades, I've suffered for nothing.
Absolutely not.
Wow.
Yeah. You spoke about a support group earlier, or the support group that you're part of. Do you have a community of people going through similar experiences, more Botswana? Because I know for a fact, like I'm saying, as far back as I can remember, those kind of headaches.
Yeah.
You know, so it's something that's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm literally sitting here thinking, how many people do we have isolated in their little corners dealing with this?
Yeah.
Is there a community of people? Is there a support group? You know, is there a chance of having something like that? You know, I'm not even trying but I'm really just hoping that there is a community of people, at least somewhere, an outlet, a safe space for people like you.
Yeah. Not that I know of here. All the support groups that I'm on, kids are online. I've heard families, my wife suffered these headaches. How can we help her? I'd really love for there to be a community of migraine warriors that support each other. Because I remember after COVID, that's when I'd be on my phone. I used to read testimonies. I used to read stories about people that same things. I was like, what? There's millions of people out there like me.
Yeah.
Woman. And And nako e nngwe le dilo tse no di ipotsa, you start to get clarity gore jana le jana le jana, wa bona. And even though these were people that I could not see physically, I felt like there was somebody out there who understood. Wa bona. I would post again, today is really a bad day. I feel like dying, and there'll be like 500,000 people that go, yeah, we also feel like dying, but you know what? We'll see tomorrow. And I'm really hoping that we can have something like that face to face. Migraine buddies. It doesn't even have to be but if you can get someone that says, you know what, today I'm feeling like this, and you get someone who actually does understand what you're going through, it helps.
Absolutely.
It really helps.
And it validates your pain because, like you're saying, a lot of people around you can empathize, but because they can't relate, sometimes there are limitations to them really understanding versus talking to somebody who's going through something similar, right? And one thing that has come out clearly from what you're saying is this condition is expensive.
It is.
It's expensive. I'm literally sitting here thinking, just how much have you had to part with to try and manage this? And so not only is it affecting you physically, now it's affected you physically,
financially,
financially,
mental health.
Mental health. I was definitely going to get to that. So clearly that's earlier your life is completely disrupted.
Yeah.
So for somebody who's watching, and in similar shoes, what would you like to say to them? Perhaps also for the first time, because they're seeing you share this publicly, thank you. I finally feel seen.
Yeah.
I feel heard. I feel like I'm not imagining this, right? What would you like to say to them?
Do you know, there was a time when I was hospitalized because of the attack. The doctor about a CT scan, it came back normal. He grabbed a chair and sat there and told me that, you know what, this is all in your head. I will be referring you to a psychiatrist. After he walked out, I called my mom and said, Mom, come and get me. There's no reason for me to be here because the doctor who's supposed to help me just told me, it's all in my head. And stress. And I'm thinking at 7 years old, stress because how long that's all there is to it. Yes, I think also that's also been another frustrating thing for me. Where I got doctors who wouldn't go the extra mile to really help me. Where it was just easy to say ke stress, stress sa gago kana go twe you're imagining it. And sometimes even with how the good is about, you're not looking for sympathy. You just I know, I'm sorry. That's all you need. Sometimes you can be calmed by I know. Otherwise, it's really bad. And this headache is just on another level about I know. I'm sorry. How about the sympathy? You're just looking for someone, for some understanding that, you know what, you're not crazy. You're not an attention seeker. And like your finances, o simolola go berekela ko re o nna le kgoba la condition ya gago. Where even the whole world, you shut it out, including your family, because you just don't know how to do this anymore. And like I'm saying, with being self-employed, how can I leave? How do I leave if bills don't pay themselves? Somehow you have to make it work. Where the wrong, so that it would and I think the world could be a little kinder. I've had patients because of this. That understanding, you don't need it just from your family, also from your colleagues, from your community. Look what where we you know what, we'll pray for you. Come, let's pray for you. Sometimes it's just all you need. That's it. because how badly and gape how sa bolelle batho it's like you're doing wrong by those people. Re nna yang le wena no se
sa itse gore ga wa
godisa,
tsoga,
wa bona?
that's it.
The
That's
kore
it.
how it's affected all aspects of my life. Even moving away from home, my mother retaliated. And where she'll even note the instances. So, I'm like, you're like, man, she's got a point.
She does.
She really has a point.
Yeah.
I get away so like, yeah, you kind of have a point. So even and then you know there's this judgment. Hey, 30 years no ntse o nna ko lapeng. Wa bana o 30 years mme ha ba tlo go tlogela mmago. Wa bana gompieno ana o 40 means ke ngwana hela ko lapeng yo nnang le mmago. Wa bana. And then your mom tells you, you know what, the only time that you get out of my house is when you have a husband who'll take care of you.
That's
How you go to how na le ngwana le two hell.
Yeah.
Wa bana. What happens when you have an attack like that? Because ha gona di warning signal. It just comes. Wa bana. Lo ne ya go kgwetsa hela there was that uneasiness. Wa bana, because like I'm saying, there were times where it would just come out of nowhere. It's no warning, nothing. Like an epileptic attack.
Absolutely.
Something like that.
Absolutely.
So you're constantly anxious about so many things. Le ha o tswa wa calculate hore yo ga o hitla ba le ga o hibole kae go na le bo mang ho go na le batho ba ileng gore ha o ka change gono ho ba go kgona go thusa ba ba go tlhaloganyang, all of that. You're always trying to be 10 steps ahead of your migraines. And mentally it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It is exhausting.
Yeah. Clearly. Now, as we wrap up, of course, you've spoken to the community holistically, but I'm literally listening to you, and you know, people around you who know what to do. You know what I mean? Whether it's from just, you know, psychosocial support, whether it's understanding what has to be done should you have an episode like that. Also perhaps understanding the meds that you take. So I want you to just elaborate a little bit on that. For somebody who lives with moto o tshwengwang ke tlhogo, what are the do's and don'ts? What should they know?
It would be different from one person to another. I get it, depending on the level of severity and how they present themselves, these migraine attacks. But one thing I know for sure, light, not good. So imagine on an attack and then someone opens the door, rough, about 12 toga. And with my family, it took them time to get to know these things. My partner the projects when I in his head, he's already thinking of these things. Okay, dark room away from the noise, TV room and all of that. But it's also important that you know the medications that your people are on. We itse gore bosigo tsa o feng, motshegare o tsa o feng, ha go le maswe o tsa o heng. Wa bana ye leng gore o tshela ka ene ke heng. Prescription fails, wa bana, because sometimes you would have what you call a mind clock, wa bana, kana mind fog, brain fog, wa bana, where everything just switches off. Now with me, I have like serious memory deficits. I don't remember stuff. And I always have my notebook, and for everything that I need to remember, I have to jot it down. So they understand or I'm ignorant or that I don't take things seriously. It's genuinely because cognitively, my cognitive functions can just switch off. So it alone. because they're not always going to tell you or they're not feeling well.
Yeah.
Learn to read the signals. Learn to read her behavior that day, her energies that day. Loud. Get closer to her. How can we help? Sometimes it's that question. How can we help?
Yeah.
Timan TV mudumo. Emisa mudumo, switch off the lights, or take her to her dark corner. But that question, people have it can be a deal breaker. How Mozahela, they know what they need at that time, and they will tell you.
Absolutely.
Sometimes what's about dijo? Learn to read your person. Your sisters are but what is so different about that day? Why are that day?
It's on another level.
Locate her where she is. Sometimes she won't even be able to pick up the phone. The phone rings 5 times, and you've called 5 times, and she still hasn't picked up the phone. Where is she?
Is she okay?
Locate her. Sometimes even randomly I'll ask her, do you have your prescription meds with you? Prescription. Can I accompany you to the doctor today? Because it's a very lonely journey. But to that thing, there's people all around you. But you're
just so isolated.
How do I check up with my neurologist or with my physician? Ask her, can I please accompany you? Okay, no, just give me a minute to get ready. I'm coming with you. You could, that means the world.
100%.
And you know what, today I'm really tired because pain is exhausting. I'm tired. What can I do for you?
Girl, thank you so much for doing this, Anitah. I think one of the things I'm really picking up from what you've shared today, and I think this goes beyond even the migraine warrior community. This is for all of us living with conditions, is you are your greatest advocate. You know, what you're going through. And you're right in saying sometimes even those who are supposed to be in the know, you know, those who are it's all in their mind. But you know your body. You know yourself best. So fight for yourself. Like, you didn't say this about yourself, but I feel you are such a warrior. You know, you are such a warrior. Your superpower is you've been your greatest advocate, and I really appreciate you for that. And thank you for doing this on behalf of others, like I'm saying, who are sitting in their isolated corners, not feeling seen or heard, thinking, you know, and even doubting themselves. Because you know, so thank you. I really, really appreciate, you know, the fact that you decided to do this.
And say one more thing. Parents, most of them disimola.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Mama ha ke bone go tirong, mama matlho a botlhoko e botlhoko wena kana o rata attention wa bo bona tsala go ka ba rola digala se wena wa di batla wa bana. Parents, listen to your children. I think not because of my history, it sensitized me to my child's health. And also, I think maybe a health practitioner. So I'm already imagining 102 things it could be. But parents, because some of these conditions, attention seeker, especially they read, they're always and kids go on for years, and nobody's taking them seriously because school. a re simololang go tsaya bana tsia wa bona, because the condition tse dingwe ngwana ha se tse le teenager o tla go te teenagers kana ba ha ba itse ka moso ke se gompieno ke se ka moso ke se wa bona.
Yeah.
When in doubt, take that child to a specialist or to a doctor.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for doing this. And we spoke about, the possibility of having a support group. Moharona. Are you comfortable with people reaching out to you? Because like I say, we don't have enough people speaking on public platforms like this. So thank you for doing it. And your social media handles, because I know for a fact once people have watched this, they'll want to find you, So I think we can start on social media, and that's where now you can share your contacts. But what are your social media handles?
Anitah Moeng on Facebook, _Anitah.Moeng on Insta.
_Anitah.Moeng on Instagram.
On Insta, Facebook is Anitah Moeng, Anitah with an H. But you know what? I really don't mind sharing my number for this one. I think I need it as much as they need me. And my number is 7171 3666.
7171 3666.
And then Orange is 72588405. 405. Someone did something great for me and they said, call me anytime. Do you know how we tend to say that like casually? But no, call
me if you need anything.
Yeah, my doctor gave me that. And until that day, at 2 a.m. and I'm saying, I just want to die. I called him, and he did. And as soon as our conversation was over, my night was okay.
So you want to be that for the next person.
we need to be that. We need to be kind to people.
Absolutely.
I really don't mind.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And there you have it. Thank you so much.
Me and your sister Dimple will be doing a support group.
Absolutely, Dimple. Inside. And I'm sorry for not... Well, it's not that I didn't believe that she was in pain, but I think now it was just that thing.
Yeah, now you know.
But like, now you know what I mean? And I think this really teaches you, until you've walked in my shoes, you don't know what I'm going through. And do
you know what
everyone's
I said to
pain
God
is
one
valid.
time? I was bargaining. I said, how come 4 weeks here, like it's a new painkiller, and I'm inviting everybody. I'm still waiting for that.
Yeah.
I haven't had it yet. But if I ever get a month of pain-free
Reja it is done. Like God, you better come through. God, come through. No, but thank you so much, Anitah, just for such a generous spirit. And we look forward to, seeing the support group come to fruition. And, thank you for touching lives by sharing your story. Now, thank you very much for tuning in to this episode. And don't forget to share, to comment, like, and subscribe. And if you'd also like to share your story, you can DM the GaonaLive or GaonaLive Conversations pages on Facebook, or just email GaonaLiveConversations@gmail.com. Catch you on the next episode.